Gee, I wonder what happened to Brock. Maybe the river carried him far away, all the way to the ocean. Then some pirates spotted him and brought him aboard their ship, and one of the pirates had a wooden leg. Then came the storm. I'm starting to scare even myself. Why don't we listen to the podcast, okay?
Hey, I'm Veronica Taylor.
And I'm Rena Taylor.
And this is
The Trainer's Guide. Today's episode,
Bulbasaur and the Hidden Village.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
Yeah, episode 10.
Oh my gosh, the podcast has hit double digits. We're at 10. We can't go back. We're being double digits for a while.
That's true, actually.
Episode
99.
100,
yeah.
Which is very soon. Can you imagine? Well, at this rate, it will be because there's so many episodes.
There are many episodes.
Oh my gosh.
But
I
now,
can't wait.
Episode 10.
I wanted to say before we hop in, we right now are recording this in London. We just finished Wales Comic Con, and
we had a blast.
I will say
in Telford.
Going to the conventions recently, especially with the podcast out, so many of you have been coming up to the table and saying, oh, I've been listening to the podcast and I really like it, or, just saying you're listening to it actually has been really exciting. And it's really great to hear that you're listening to it, that you enjoy it. It's very rewarding. And so thank you for sharing that with us.
And thank you for being on the journey with us.
Yes.
Literally, figuratively, I should say, as we are on a journey.
And coming to visit us in person on a journey.
On your own journey.
Yeah.
It's amazing, which is why we're doing the podcast.
Yep. So
about
it's very exciting.
A journey.
It's very exciting.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say a little thank you as we're in episode 10. But speaking of journeys and getting on the right path, let's get into this episode.
Because they start off wading through the grass.
Yes.
Because they are lost.
Very tall grass, I should say. Good thing they don't have ticks in the Pokemon world. Otherwise, our 3 trainers would be
bitten.
Yeah, in big trouble.
Yes.
But Ash has decided, I guess, to direct everybody to get to Vermillion City, which we've been trying to get to for a long time. Is it Vermillion or Viridian?
Yes, Viridian. It's all green.
And all V's. But
because also they could get Lyme disease, which is also green. Just kidding. I'm not joking about that. It's a serious thing.
That is very serious.
But anyway, no ticks.
So, tick-free, we're trying to get to Viridian City. We're trying to get to Viridian City, and Ash has gotten everybody lost. So Ash, Misty, and Brock decide to take a break, and while they're resting for a minute, they see a wild Oddish, which is a new Pokemon. It looks kind of like a radish, but blue. It's very cute. One of my favorites, actually, I think. It's just adorable. They're all my favorite, I think. So that's not a difficult thing. Yes. Anyway, so Misty tries to catch the Oddish, and right as she is about to throw her Pokeball, a Bulbasaur comes out of nowhere and knocks the Pokeball away. Ash tries to battle this Bulbasaur, loses. It's an incredibly strong Pokemon, and the Oddish and Bulbasaur escape. Then the 3 of them go off in search of this Bulbasaur and the Oddish and wherever they came from, and they get on this bridge that then collapses, and Brock falls into the water, which is very dangerous and very scary, and Misty and Ash are stuck on the bridge. They pull themselves up, and then they get caught in a multitude of traps. So we have the bridge, Misty falls into a big hole, and then the 2 of them, including Pikachu, get swept up into this big net, which is where our little dialogue from the opening comes from, because they're wondering, where the heck could Brock be? So Brock comes, gets them down, and tells them that this woman, Melanie, who's extremely beautiful, has saved him and took him to her place, and it's like a retreat for Pokemon. So she cares for sick Pokemon and then lets them back out into the wild. So the 3 trainers go there, and they find out that the Bulbasaur and the Oddish are living at this retreat. Anyway, turns out that, they're just hanging out there. Ash and Bulbasaur reconcile. Misty apologizes to the Oddish for trying to capture it and scaring it. Team Rocket comes in. They try to get the Pokemon, and they are, surprise, surprise, defeated. And then, at quite a big turn of events, Bulbasaur decides to go with Ash at the end of the episode. So that is basically what happens in a nutshell.
True.
I'm going to take a breath.
It is a fast... I felt like this episode went by quite quickly.
Yeah, there was a lot of energy going on. A lot of danger, excitement.
Falling into
love.
holes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Actually, I thought Team Rocket dug all the holes.
Oh, really? Because I thought it was Bulbasaur.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Because Bulbasaur kind of snuck up and laughed at them when Ash and Misty were in the net.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so I thought that Bulbasaur had set all these traps. But actually, it was Melanie.
Melanie.
Yes.
Especially when she goes, I did it.
I know. She's just like, oh, yeah, that was me. Just so calm and cool.
It's interesting that she dug the holes and did the net trap to protect the Pokemon from other Pokemon trainers.
Right. Because actually all the Pokemon who are there have been abandoned by their trainers, it says, and that they have kind of, they've got trauma or they have injuries, different things like that they end up there because they have been left or hurt. And she knows just the right medicine to fix them up and get them better.
Like a therapy camp, actually. So you have this trauma, as you said, and then you go to your spa treatments. She's an herbologist. She knows all the natural treatments that you can take, and she is helping them to feel secure.
Yeah, totally. Except we never actually see her do any of her work.
That's true.
So I am not convinced that she isn't a witch.
Oh my gosh.
Because, even that with Bulbasaur at the end of the episode gets into the battle with Ash and, is knocked out and then is fine in the next scene. So, what did she do? Did she just give it a massage or did she give it a magic tincture to drink?
Oh, interesting.
I'm just thinking that she lives in a cabin in the woods by herself.
Like Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
Yes,
She's
and they rises up on chicken legs.
Yeah, she's using her powers for good, of course.
True.
But I'm just saying she might be mystical. There might be a mystical element to her.
I was thinking that it was the nature, because you are out in nature, that nature is so healing. Plus the herbs heal you naturally, which is, I think, a lesson that we can all take, that you have to spend time outside, which our three heroes are doing, but you also need to have some calm and surround yourself with people or creatures or someone who supports you and just loves you for who you are.
Yeah. I think that is
there's magic in that.
Something. Exactly. And that is where she gets her powers from
That's
love.
Yeah.
And there's love in the air because Brock is
smitten.
A little in love with our girl, Mel.
It's his first crush, isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing is, because I have definitely seen later episodes where Brock, anytime he looks in the direction of a girl, his eyes are hearts and he's swooning and fawning and all this kind of stuff. And he has been very tame in these first few episodes.
Right.
I just remember him seeing Officer Jenny or Nurse Joy and being like, oh my God, I'm in love with you, blah, 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 right away. And I was expecting that with Miss Mel, but not yet.
Well, he is really embarrassed. His face gets so fire red that
because Misty's taunting him about being in love and giving her a kiss and stuff like that.
Yes,
I know. Misty is a little crazy.
They all they have strong personalities. Let's put it that way.
And they equally get on each other's nerves, I think, which is good. It's not just Ash and Misty fighting. Misty and Brock get to fight a little bit in this episode, so. You got to spread the
But actually
the
fight,
wealth.
Because Brock punches her on the head.
Yeah, twice.
I know, and then is putting his hand over her mouth to keep her quiet. It's a little, and yet she holds her own.
Oh,
she hits him on the head, too.
She's got older sisters who we've met, and if you grew up with them, I think you'd be a tough cookie, too.
That's right. I don't condone hitting someone on the head.
Definitely not.
But
and neither would Melanie.
That's true. But you should stand up for yourself.
That's true. And speaking of that, Bulbasaur really does hold its own in this. And so, first of all, we learn kind of what a Bulbasaur is, which I didn't quite know.
Right. They say
as a new viewer.
Meaning, right. The Pokédex.
Yes.
Dexter.
Yes.
Says it's part animal. People don't know if it's part animal, or if it's an animal or it's a plant.
Yeah, they don't know how to categorize it because it's a bit of a mix.
And I keep saying if it's part because I'm going to say it is part animal, part plant.
Yes, that seems to be obvious.
Because it says it bears a seed of a plant on its back that will develop slowly.
And it grows over time.
Yes, much like our personalities, our knowledge, our humor. Exactly.
Some may say ours has deteriorated, but
some people in this hotel might say that if they hear us now.
That's true.
But I think Bulbasaur is also an example of humans, of anything, actually, animals too, your own pets at home.
Yeah.
Developing slowly, but you need to be nurtured in nature to grow.
Yeah.
You need the right amount of rain and food and
you
all
need
of that.
somebody to help you with that. I mean, especially with a lot of these Pokemon, they are like pets and like children. And so you need a trainer or you need a friend to kind of help you along that journey. And Bulbasaur, who knows what happened in its past, but it definitely has taken on this role of being the protector of this camp.
Sure.
And standing up for everybody and being really like aggressive towards other Pokemon trainers.
Well, its attack is Vine Whip.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty
How scary
brutal.
is that? Exactly. But it's interesting that in this episode, it takes Bulbasaur a really long time to let somebody else in. And Ash really has to work to gain its trust. And a lot of that is through, I think for Bulbasaur, in that sense, it's acts of service and doing things for others that make it say, oh, okay, I can trust you.
Well, Ash basically saves, so Bulbasaur saves Oddish.
Team Rocket have come and they've got yet another giant vacuum.
Oh my gosh.
Where do they find these things? We have to talk about that in a minute.
Yes.
But they are sucking all the Pokemon up.
Well, let's talk about it now. They're floating in the air.
So first of all, they're walking through the forest like everybody else, and they've fallen into all of the traps.
They fell in 3 holes and got caught in one net.
Yes.
So before they decided to do their own
who knows?
Trickster things.
I'm not sure. It seems like that was part of the plan all along. So who knows how this came up? But they have been falling into all these holes. And then all of a sudden, they come riding in on a giant stadium.
Roof.
No, a stadium.
I thought it was the roof of the stadium was lifted off.
I think it's the full, from what I saw.
I'm not sure.
We're going to have
debatable.
to roll the tape. We're going to have to go back.
No, but people send in. Let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think. Write it in the comments.
Because we can.
Wherever
comments
you can
below,
find them.
Below something.
But okay, but
it's on balloons.
They have hooked balloons up to a giant stadium/stadium roof. But if it's a roof, where does the vacuum go? So I think it's a building with the vacuum attached.
I don't know. Let's debate this later. But
either way,
there's a vacuum.
Fly in on a giant stadium. Why didn't they do that in the beginning?
I don't know.
Where did they find the stadium and all this helium for the balloons? I'm so amazed by their ingenuity. And if they put as much time as they did into coming up with these elaborate sets and things to capture Pokemon,
right,
into just capturing Pokemon, I feel like they would be much more on their way. But where's the fun in that? You know what I mean?
True.
Where's the fun in that? Anyway, they come in on this giant flying stadium and they try and suction vacuum up all of the Pokemon at the hidden village. And luckily, because Melanie lives in a house, they can go hide in the house. But
all the
Oddish
humans,
gets caught and starts flying it. It's getting sucked into the vacuum, and Bulbasaur catches it with its Vine Whip.
Yes. And then as the vines are wrapped around Oddish, and Bulbasaur is pushing against the wind
really
to
struggling.
go in, and Ash comes around the other side of Bulbasaur and pushes it, holding Oddish, into the house and saves it. And you can see a tiny eye turn, I guess.
Yeah, a flick of the eye.
A backward glance. And you can see that Bulbasaur is considering trusting Ash.
Yeah, because, Ash is helping the Pokemon that originally he was a threat to. And so I think that is something that Bulbasaur sees. And then afterwards, they battled Team Rocket. And then Melanie's like, I think Bulbasaur would be great on your team. But Bulbasaur wants you to battle it first. And so Bulbasaur battles Pikachu. And I feel like that's let's see how strong your Pokemon are compared to me. You know what I mean?
Or how good of a trainer are you that how does your Pokemon react to you?
Right. And how well have you trained it? Mm-hmm. I just feel like it was a bit of a test. Pikachu defeats Bulbasaur.
My gosh, in the craziest way.
Yeah.
Thunder, it gets whacked by the Vine Whip. But Pikachu comes back with, oh, what a surprise. Thunder Shock.
Shocking.
Yeah. And then, but like fries Bulbasaur, fizzles it up.
I will say, I am not a huge fan of watching the battles. Like, it's a little hard for me. I don't know. Like, it's kind of, it's violent in a way of like, it just happens all of a sudden. And like Oddish is being bounced around, Pikachu's being kicked, and Bulbasaur's being shocked and frizzled. And
but in a funny way. It's kind of in a Looney Tunes kind of way.
Yeah, but it sometimes is hard for me to watch.
I know.
So
anyway,
I'm glad
it was
they're
a thunder.
short.
It was a Thunderbolt, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Not Thundershock.
Oh, yeah.
Either one.
I feel like they're very similar, but
similar enough. But
write it in the comments. Comment below what you think.
Because of that, Bulbasaur gets captured right away by Ash in the Pokeball, and now they are companions.
Yes, so exciting. But yeah, it just takes it a while to trust. And I think so. Something that I saw online the other day was this video that this person, I guess they do on YouTube, all these videos of them saving or rescuing, like I'm thinking it's mainly dogs. I saw a dog one. I think it's mainly dogs. They rescue them off of the street and then, place them with people, place them in homes and whatever. And this one, the dog was just sitting. They were in a car park because we're in England. The dog's sitting in a car park, and the guy takes one of those, I don't know, batons with the wire on the end, and it wraps it around its neck.
Oh, to capture it like a lasso.
And the dog goes crazy and is like, and it's so scary because it's really, you can tell the dog is frightened and it's really fighting. And the person is like, okay, if you want to run, let's run. And it just runs with the dog, and it's just out there with this dog. And after a while, it goes, hey, let's talk. The guy is talking to the dog, being like, let's talk about this. So come on, what do you want? And it finally, the dog, lets the person pet it and pick it up and take it home. And then it shows them washing the dog, and it's just like leaned up against this person as they're washing the dirt off of it. And turns out it was a grayish black dog. It turns out it's white.
Oh my gosh.
But it was so dirty. But
the poor little thing.
I know. And the point is, and the person is so kind and just saying, you'll never be lonely again. And we're going to find somebody lovely who loves you. But you can just tell, like, I don't know. It just reminded me of this because the dog was so scared and so mean because of that. And then once it knew that it was in good hands, it just kind of let go and allowed itself to be taken care of. And it's just amazing. It's an amazing thing to see in real life. And especially with this show, you can see that happening in real time.
Well, haven't I always said that, especially when you were little and in school, and you have some kids who are really bullies and mean for no reason and kind of lashing out. Oftentimes there's something going on at home that you don't know about, that there's other things that are beneath the surface.
Right.
And so you have to give people a chance.
Yeah.
You have to be kind. You have to listen. And in that way, when someone is supported, they're able to also be kind and kind of let that guard down. So I think that's a lesson to all of us, that it's so important because you never know what anyone is going through, nor what they have gone through and what, problems or traumas or all of that stuff.
I think that's the thing. It's just like kindness is so important. And whether or not you like the person, being kind to them goes a long way.
Yeah.
And being nice and being able to listen even when it's hard. You know, it takes a lot. It's not easy all the time, but I find it's much easier being nice than it is being mean.
True. Also,
even when sometimes being mean feels so good and it just comes right out of you.
I know.
But in the long term, you know, you're building those relationships and sometimes you make new friends or you get opportunities through that person, even though you never really spoke, but you were kind to them when nobody else was. And that makes a huge difference in their life, even if it doesn't really affect you.
But it does in the long run affect you.
Exactly.
Also, in this episode, Misty says to Oddish,
Yes.
find a trainer who understands you. Not everyone is mean, and that you really need to look for the person that you can relate to, who can support you.
Yeah.
There's so much about that in this episode. And she even says, all I ever think about is winning. I hope I'm not becoming heartless.
Yeah, and I thought that was so interesting because that is such an amazing insight, first of all, for a 10-year-old, essentially. But they're on this journey, and the whole point of this is to catch Pokemon, to win battles, all this kind of stuff. But there's so much more that goes into it. And being kind and thinking about others, even though you want to win, but thinking about how your actions will affect others always has to come first.
Right.
And for her, again, sometimes it's easy just to get in that competitive spirit and just go for it. But you've got to take a step back and assess, and even in a split second.
And then Melanie, when she suggests that Bulbasaur goes with Ash, she is letting go.
Right.
And saying that the bulb on Bulbasaur's back can't grow. The town, this village, is too small.
Right.
Bulbasaur needs to get out on an adventure and learn and grow and literally grow.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, too, is, you know, with going to school and at least for me, like going to college, you are exposed to so many different people, and traveling, you're exposed to different people, different cultures, different ideas, and you grow and you strengthen your values. You challenge yourself and your mindset, and that makes you grow, for better, for worse, you know, but you get better. You become a better person for that.
Right.
And so by the end of this episode, Melanie has been so focused on keeping these poor, sick Pokemon safe that, as she says, she's made her town, her village, her home too safe. And the Pokemon don't want to leave.
They become complacent.
Yeah, and they haven't met any other trainers. They don't really know what's out there. And so they're not encouraged to go and explore and find new things and meet new people.
Challenge themselves.
Yeah, and grow, literally and figuratively.
Right.
So it's such an interesting thing because, you know, you need people who care about you, and yet you also need to be able to take a step back and take care of yourself by leaving those people.
And then take a leap.
Right.
And, I don't know, go on an adventure.
I know.
And you can have an adventure in a book. You can have an adventure at school, camp, vacation with your parents.
We're like on an endless vacation adventure right now.
On an adventure, not much of a vacation, but
that's
definitely an adventure.
Yeah.
But this adventure is only as great as it is because of the people we meet along the way. And especially going to conventions, we meet so many people that I will say have changed our lives, that just by being themselves and sharing their lives with us. So it's incredible. So I wish the best for Ash and Bulbasaur, mostly for Bulbasaur, as it starts its journey.
I'm excited because Bulbasaur seems very powerful, and it even like blew when Butterfree was putting the sleep powder, and then it went, you know, and just blew it right into Butterfree's face. And that does not seem to be like a move that would be in the Pokédex. So I just feel like this is going to makes for some interesting battles, even though I don't really like to watch them.
I also will say that Tara Sands played
Yes.
Bulbasaur, Melanie, and Oddish. So talk about having scenes with yourselves.
Episode.
Yes, it was.
When we have her on the episode, which we will on the pod,
yes,
we're going to have to talk about that because
She's
it was pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're thinking of you, Tara, and your podcast, and everybody else who we see all the time and who make us better every day.
She's 4 Kids Flashback, her podcast, where she's talking too. She has all the lines.
I know.
Right.
She does everything.
Right. This was a great episode. We really learned a lot, but mostly we learned about how to step outside, not fall in holes.
Exactly. I know. Watch out for traps, you guys.
Everywhere you go.
It's pretty easy, it looks like, to set a trap and also to fall into a trap. So
and
keep your eyes open.
That's right. If you fall, if the bridge breaks,
oh my
someone will be there to pull you out.
Start working on your upper body strength.
That's it.
Because if you're going to cross a little wooden bridge like that,
Ash pulled Misty out.
I know.
So, and
that
Melanie with one arm pulled Brock out of the water.
Yeah, from the rapids.
So, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we all need to just go live in the woods for a while.
Push-ups and pull-ups.
Yes.
Yeah, or
and
maybe
green juice.
Green juice. Anyway, it was an awesome episode. Yeah. Well, I think this is a good time for the Poke Wrap Up,
where we hear from you, the Pokemon community.
We asked you to send in your favorite Pokemon memories, stories, inspirations.
And here are a few of this week's. First up is Leah from Michigan. Hi, I recently met you at Motor City Comic Con and you signed my Butterfree card. I had a Pokemon memory I wanted to share with you, but I got nervous and panicked. So here it is. I was 10 years old when I discovered Pokemon, and the Indigo League anime was my first exposure to it. I only decided to watch it because my cousin loved it and wouldn't stop talking about it. It's safe to say that watching the show changed my life because it eventually got me into the games. I'm 19 now and still love the show and the games. They were a huge comfort to me during one of the roughest times in my life.
And now, Matt from Agawam, Massachusetts. I started watching Pokemon and playing the games at about 4 or 5 years old. My mom had to play through the tutorial for me, and even nicknamed my first Bulbasaur. Some of my favorite memories are owning some episodes on VHS, being traumatized by the Sabrina episodes, and my dad's company holding special events for employees and their families at the local movie theater for the first 3 movies. Thank you for making my childhood so special. A very special thank you to Leah and Matt for sharing your stories with us this week, and we want to hear from all of you.
Email us a short voice recording or write to us at trainersguidepod@gmail.com.
And try to keep it short. We know that's difficult, but if it's about 30 seconds or so, we won't have to edit.
Oh, and please include your first name and where you're from.
Well, that about wraps up today's episode of The Trainer's Guide. And, as they say, to be continued. We hope that you continue to join us on this journey that is The Trainer's Guide.
As you know, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you're listening now.
And if you subscribe, comment, and rate the podcast, it helps others find the show and keeps us on the air.
Thank you so much in advance for your generosity and all of your amazing support.
Trainer's Guide is a production of Boom Integrated.
We are co-executive producing this along with
the amazing Adrian Glover
and the incomparable Robin Lai. I'm your host, Veronica Taylor.
And I'm your host, Rena Taylor.
And this has been The Trainer's Guide. We'll see you out there on the road.